What's going on, Nerd Squad? I'm your host, Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we post nerdy content all day long for your viewing enjoyment. To never miss another video, make sure you click that subscribe button. Plus, if you stay all the way until the end, we may just have some sweet blooper action for you. But hopefully I won't mess up and you won't have to see that. I don't want the bloopers to be there. I'm sure you'll enjoy it though. The Dark Knight is not your average superhero. The business mogul known as Bruce Wayne doesn't have any extraordinary powers, nor does he claim to. Yet somehow he still works alongside the likes of Superman and Wonder Woman. Well, we're here today to highlight some of Batman's lowest moments as a hero, moments that make him seem a little more human at least. Before we get started though, leave us a comment down below with which Batman villain is your favorite, and while you ponder that, let's jump right into the top 10 worst things to happen to Batman. In at number 10, memory loss. In the Batman comic books from 2011, issue number 48, Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder proceed to mess with audiences by starting the book with Bruce and the Joker sitting side by side on a park bench. They appear to be normalized versions of who they once were. In the Endgame storyline, it first appeared that Batman and the Joker had died after falling into an underground chamber that collapsed. We soon discovered though that Batman was completely fine, except for that weird beard that he's got going on. The twist was that his memory was completely wiped clean of his previous life as the Batman. What's worse is that people like Alfred didn't want to tell him who he truly was. Eventually he does get his memory back, but watching Batman sitting on a park bench just staring into space is kinda heartbreaking to see. In at number 9, the shark attack. Back in the 1960s, when you said Batman, you thought of Adam West. In the now classic film of Batman and Robin, they take on their greatest threat to date. Batman and Robin are up against an all-star team of villains from the Joker to Catwoman, although it's not one of these supervillains that caused this terrible thing to happen to Batman. While Robin is flying with Batman dangling below from a rope ladder, he gets attacked by a shark. Yeah, a shark. Because facing off against all of his villains wasn't bad enough. The Great White launches itself from the water and grabs a hold of Batman's leg. It's a shocking moment of misfortune, and no matter how many times he punches the shark in the face, it won't let go. Eventually he remembers that he has shark repellent in his utility belt, and that ultimately saves the day. Although, still a bad day. In at number 8, a broken back. As I mentioned previously, Batman does his best to be a superhero. He trains every day, he's intelligent, and can often fool his opponents. However, when it comes to Bane, it all goes out the window. During the Nightfall storyline, as well as in the film The Dark Knight Rises, Bane shows how incredibly strong he is by lifting Batman like a ragdoll, and then proceeds to break Batman's back with his knee. As far as the comic book pages go, when the roided out villain destroys Batman, he also replaces him with Jean Paul Valley, who completely wrecks Batman's reputation. Before the movie was even released, this comic book moment was so horrific that avid readers would never forget it. It highlights his humanity and shows fans that Batman isn't always the top dog in Gotham City. In at number 7, Jason Todd's death. The life of a superhero is a difficult path, and when you're trying to stop criminals in the grimy city of Gotham, you're bound to lose a few friends along the way. Perhaps one of the deaths closest to Batman that hit him the hardest was the death of Jason Todd. At the end of Batman issue number 427, the second Robin, aka Jason Todd, was being beaten to a pulp with a crowbar by the Joker. When the Joker finally leaves the room, a bomb is counting down with his mother tied to a nearby wooden pole as he tries his best to free her. Once getting her untied, they realize that the Joker had locked them in that room. Unfortunately for Batman, he's just a little too late. Just as he's approaching where Jason and his mother are being held, the building explodes right in front of him. Bruce really does care about his Bat family, and losing someone like Jason made him feel absolutely helpless. In at number 6, he failed Rachel. In the Dark Knight movie, the Joker, played by Heath Ledger, concocts a myriad of ways to mess with Batman and his need for justice in an unjust world. He blows up a hospital, he murders in cold blood until Batman reveals his identity, but the worst hit to Batman was killing Rachel. There was already so many lives that had been lost in this movie up until this point, but when the Joker killed Bruce Wayne's lifelong friend, it really struck a nerve. Both Rachel and Harvey Dent were handcuffed to explosives in 2 separate warehouses, and when Batman was interrogating the Joker, he was able to at least get this information out of him. However, nothing the Joker says should ever be trusted. With Batman feeling like time was not on his side, he took the Joker's instructions at face value. He wanted to save Rachel, but little did he know he was given the address of where Harvey was instead. Not only did he create a villain that day, but he lost the love of his life. In at number 5, Wayne Tower Destruction. At the end of the Superman movie Man of Steel, there is this massive fight with Zod, and due to the fact that this is an alien fight on Earth though, there's a ton of collateral damage to be had. Their Kryptonian powers absolutely demolish several skyscrapers, resulting in a ton of casualties. Although the scene heavily leans on special effects, it's a key moment that introduces Bruce Wayne into the DCEU. At the start of Batman vs Superman, we get to see another angle of that fight, but this time from a panicked Bruce Wayne's point of view. As people are running from the collapsing buildings, Bruce is trying to contact his friend inside of the Wayne Financial building in Metropolis. Unfortunately, the call doesn't go through, so all he can do now is stand by and watch as his building turns to rubble, killing everyone inside. In at number 4, Tim Drake's torture. For the bulk of the DC animated universe, things were kept fairly light-hearted. They certainly tried though to test darker and more twisted characters even if the story remained light. However, when it came to Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, they went straight for that dark and gritty storyline. In the movie, we slowly learn that the Joker has kidnapped the former Robin, Tim Drake. What's worse is that the Joker sets up this Saw-like home video to play for Batman where he tortures poor Robin. Ultimately, the Joker successfully brainwashes and transforms Tim Drake into his mini Joker sidekick, which is just an awful day for Bruce. He has to watch Robin getting tortured and then stolen by his arch nemesis, and there's nothing he can really do in that moment. It's something that Bruce will never be able to forgive himself for either.
You've lost, Batman. Robin is mine. The last sound you hear will be our laughter.
In at number 3, Tower of Babel. Overall, throughout Batman's entire career as a superhero, he doesn't make that many mistakes. That being said, when it comes to the Tower of Babel storyline in the Justice League of America, he made quite the costly slip-up. Due to the fact that Bats isn't that trusting of those around him, he put together a file with the exact details on how to defeat his super-powered friends. When Ra's al Ghul stole the files though, it was like a gift from whatever god's supervillains worship. Satan, I guess? Batman's mistrust then led to the torture and near death of the entire JLA team. Using this resource, Ra's al Ghul was able to incapacitate each hero strategically. Additionally, Batman's day got a whole lot worse when Ra's stole the remains of Thomas and Martha Wayne and threatened to bring them back to life in the Lazarus Pit. Suffice it to say, the Tower of Babel storyline is something that Batman will never forget. In at number 2, Emperor Joker. The comic book Emperor Joker has to be up there with one of the worst days for Batman. After stealing the reality warping powers of Mr. Mxyzptlk, the Joker recreated the universe that planted the Batman in a never-ending loop of torture and despair. Every single day Batman was tortured, he would have his flesh torn from his body, his mouth sewn shut, and he was killed at the end of every day, then brought back to life just so the Joker could do it all over again. Additionally, while being the Emperor Joker, he also took a moment to eat the entire country of China. Like, as a meal. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, losing his parents. The story of Batman's origins is widely known. It's been done a million times, from television to movie adaptations to comic books. We all know what happened on that fateful evening. Whether they were coming from a showing of The Mask of Zorro or an evening at the opera like in Batman Begins, the imagery will remain the same. They're walking together hand in hand through Crime Alley when a man attempts to rob the Waynes. The imagery is now considered iconic, but what we often forget is that this experience must have been extremely traumatic for a young boy to watch. His parents were killed right in front of him, and he just had to stand by and watch it all happen. That extreme loss of power is what put him on a mission to avenge those who can't defend themselves from evil that walks the streets of Gotham City. And that has been the top 10 worst things to happen to Batman. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then show us some love here by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, as always, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, just click that playlist on your screen. From Top 10 Nerd, my name is Johnny Rogers, and until we meet again, take care. From Top 10 Nerd, my name... Unfortunately... oh my god, I bit my lip again. Bloopers! Yay! I thought I'd get away with it too. More for you meddling editors. after stealing the reality warping powers of, Mitzelpick, that's his name. The comic book Emperor Joker, why do I say that so weird?